Do you realize each time there is an interaction with the external world, whether it be people around you or situations, it creates some kinds of emotions within yourself. It's we're already beings of emotions, and everything is perceived through emotions, and that creates our reactions and our perception of the world and our limits too. And I think there are a lot of things to observe and to learn from that. I would like to share some things with you. You know, what I realize, I would like to try to explain you a certain point of view of what is happening when you, I don't know, you meet someone, you meet a situation in your life, and that triggers some kinds of emotions within you. And those um, emotions are based on yourself, not the situation. The situation is the trigger. Um, and in a way, you react to the trigger or not, because there are a lot of triggers around you. Every situation, every aspect of the situation can be a trigger for you or not, depending on who you are, on what are, well, a lot of things. What are a lot of things within you. Um, the best image and the best way I think to say that it's and there's a good word in English to say that when things resonate with you, it's something which is true in physics too. If you taught the oscillations, a signal like a wave, well, that resonates with another signal which has the same frequency, which means that if two signals of the same frequency meet, they increase each other. And that's, I think, a very good explanation, more than just an image, because I think that it could be exactly the same on the human level. We tend to learn in all scientific discoveries that a lot of things, even matter, is made of oscillations in a certain way. And so the resonating system explanation is completely physical and real. And anyway, that's a very good image, I think. So let's say you have some kind of I like to point out uh, the aspect of the negative things that you feel and the limits and the problems we try to solve in our life most of the time. There is a problem because someone told me something. Someone had a certain behavior with me. And that is a problem for me, and I try to find a solution. Now let's consider that another way. A certain person had a certain behavior which acted as a trigger for me because there was something that resonated with a part of myself. This behavior resonated with a part of myself, which means that I had something that was in the same frequency within myself, same frequency, and so the trigger obviously amplified this part of myself, which I perceive as a problem. The problem is within me. There is already a problem within me. Obviously, there is something happening outside of me. But that's just a trigger. I see the problem outside, whereas outside of me is just a trigger. But the trigger has a meaning to me. It's really a meaning to me because I really have something in the same frequency within me. And all the problem comes from that part of me that resonates with this trigger. And now I don't know if you can really relate to the explanation I gave. That is, if the trigger and the thing within yourself, the behavior of this person, for example, and something within yourself, I don't know, fear you have, let's say you fear, lack of confidence, maybe, if both of them are on the same frequency, then the trigger is going to amplify this part of yourself. So maybe your lack of confidence. And that really first of all give an explanation of what is happening and the emotions that you can feel that is obviously within yourself. The emotion is within yourself and maybe not within the person who is just next to you and who could have perceived the thing the same way, who lived the same thing, but not within themselves. So that gives an explanation. And then I also relate to another way of seeing what is happening, which is the same thing, and it's more about suggestion. We talk about suggestions in some auto-suggestion, and that's, I think, the same kind of thing. One person, let's say, behave with me a certain way, which is disrespectful. It implies that I don't have, how to say that, the value, I'm not worth of being respected. That is a suggestion. This behavior, and the more this person is going disrespectful and with an arrogant, and the more it will suggest you don't deserve respect. It implies that. Okay? So the problem is that if there is anything in you that relates to that, and most of the time we have this kind of feeling within ourselves, at some point we think we don't deserve certain things, or at least there is a level at which we consider we are not worth enough. So that can really act as a trigger, because there is this part within me that says, yeah, I don't deserve maybe enough respect. And that part is going to resonate, and that is a suggestion that you're not worth being respected. And if I accept this suggestion, then in a way that made me feel bad because I accepted this suggestion. But the suggestion is just, every situation and every behavior of people around me act like a suggestion. I suggest that you are this, that you are that, because I act accordingly, I would say. But it's just a suggestion too. And the problem is that we accept the suggestion. It's not the suggestion. Anyone can suggest me anything. By itself, it's not a problem, and everyone is free to suggest whatever. Like when you are speaking, you can suggest everyone anything. It doesn't harm anyone. The problem is when you accept the suggestion. And we accept the suggestion when we resonate with that, and we let that continue and happen without perceiving what is happening and knowing that we have a choice to make. I don't have to accept this suggestion. And the more the person in front of you, if it's a person, has a confidence in their behavior, the more the suggestion, I would say, is strong. And the more we are likely to accept the suggestion as being the truth, basically. And all that is the same, it's just something resonating with me that I let develop. And I do have the choice, because that what is coming outside is just a trigger or a suggestion. It's the same. And I always have the choice to say, okay, I know, I see what is happening, that triggers an emotion within me. The problem is not outside, it's inside. What that triggers, and whereas the problem is inside. And so I have a choice to make, and I can choose to solve, I would say, in a way, I don't know, to solve to a certain extent, I think. It's a moment where you can choose to solve it, to solve the problem within you, and to say, okay, I feel that. Now that's not the truth. That was just, I don't know, something within me for a certain reason. It doesn't really have to understand why, but to say that's not the truth, and I just choose not to accept that as the truth. So that's just a possibility to perceive things, and I invite you to try to see how you can relate to that. Make your experience and observe. The more you observe, the better you get, the more you have power over your life, and you control things. So tell me what you think about that. If that can help, if that can help, I hope so. And I'll talk to you very soon. Bye bye.